Hello, dear friends. Our decadence comes from denying our divine and caring nature. Opinion piece. Metaphysical revolution. Paradigm shift. Creativity and originality. Autonomy and responsibility. Individualism and collaboration. Changes in the way of thinking. Globalization of knowledge. Technological and scientific advances. Let's start. We do not have all the answers. We don't have a complete map of the path. But metaphysics is now going through the equivalent of an industrial revolution. I invite you to participate in the vanguard of this revolution, says Ken Oyer, alias the pilot. A significant shift is occurring in the way we approach and understand fundamental aspects of reality and existence. Just as the Industrial Revolution radically transformed production, society, and knowledge in the 19th century, metaphysics may be undergoing a paradigm shift in the way we approach fundamental questions about the nature of reality, mind, self, and existence. The hardest path is the one you walk alone, but the bridge you build with your own hands is the one you walk on with the most satisfaction. By taking responsibility for your destiny, you face challenges and difficult decisions, but you also have the freedom to shape your life according to your values and goals. Virtues, wisdom, knowledge is power. Don't be afraid to learn anything. Don't run away from complexity or difficulty. Learn all you can and do not be satisfied with mere data collection, but strive for understanding and practical application. Always look for the why, which underlines things. Love is the highest form of acceptance. Here is the path to embrace and penetrate the universe, and can be used to both dissolve and animate. With love, an evil thing can be brought to fulfillment and change so that it no longer needs to strive to maintain its evil. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, love your enemies, and God is love. Help. The best help is that which eliminates the need for help. It is much better to teach someone how to make money than to give them money, or him or her. From the first comes greater ability and freedom, and from the other comes dependence. We are in this together, and there is a great need for us to help each other. But God helps those who help themselves, and you would be wise to do the same. Give help that liberates. Don't use it as a means of dominance like politicians do. And most importantly, if you yourself wish to achieve a freedom and enlightenment, then guide others along the same path. The best way to learn something is to teach it, and the best way to earn something is to share it with others. Opponents. If you are striving to be the best at something, always do so by elevating your own ability and never diminishing the abilities of your competitors. You run much faster when there is someone in front of you setting the pace. Always be grateful to have a strong competitor because he leads you to new heights. We are not really in competition, it's only a game. In the long race, we will all be teammates in the game of escaping the trap. Don't crush your opponents. You will want them around you later. Changes. Changes in the way of thinking. Just as the Industrial Revolution transformed people's mentality towards production and progress, this revolution in metaphysics could be changing the way we think about the nature of reality, challenging the traditional conceptions and encouraging a more dynamic and adaptive approach. Globalization of knowledge. The Industrial Revolution had a global impact, and similarly, current metaphysics could be experiencing a change globally. with ideas and perspectives from different cultures contributing to the evolution of metaphysical understanding. Technological and scientific advances. Similar to how the Industrial Revolution was driven by technological advances, metaphysics could be influenced by advances in areas such as quantum physics, artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and cosmology. These advances could be changing and expanding our traditional conceptions of reality. Interdisciplinary. The Industrial Revolution was characterized by an interconnection of various disciplines and technologies. Analogously, contemporary metaphysics might be taking a more interdisciplinary approach, incorporating ideas and methods from different fields to address fundamental questions about existence and reality. Autonomy. The hardest path, although it may be lowly and challenging, has the potential to provide deep personal satisfaction and a sense of accomplishment. Building your own bridge means taking control of your destiny and facing challenges with determination and resilience, which can lead to a more enriching and meaningful experience. Creativity and originality. Building a bridge with your own hands suggests a creative and original act. Each person has a unique story and faces specific challenges. This approach highlights the importance of originality and creativity in building a path that reflects your individual identity and aspirations. Challenges and learning. The hardest path involves overcoming obstacles and facing difficulties. However, it is in those challenges where the opportunity to learn and grow is found. Building the bridge with your own hands symbolizes the effort and hard work that personal progress requires. Personal satisfaction. The idea of walking across the bridge that you built with your own hands highlights the personal satisfaction that comes from achieving your goals through effort and dedication. Self sufficiency and the feeling of having overcome adversity can generate deep personal gratification and pride. Individualism and collaboration. Although the statement highlights the idea of going it alone, it is also important to recognize that we are not completely isolated. Relationships and collaboration with others can be essential to success. Although you build your own bridge, you may receive support and guidance along the way. The truth. The truth will not come looking for you. You must go ahead and look for it. And when you place your hands on the gemstone, you must cleanse the dirt that is on it, separating the wisdom from the falsehood that has been embedded around it. For mortals, when they encounter the divine, rarely let it rise upward, but surround it with their desires for wealth, power, and self-righteousness. If we continue, if we continue beyond the withering and death of our mortal shells, then the most reasonable conclusion will be that we live many lives. To live one life and then remain restrained and frozen in one position for all eternity would not only be cruel, but also upset and a drain on the life force. If we are immortal spirits, then there are only two possibilities, namely, that we are creations placed on our path like puppets by a greater being, or that we are parts of the Creator. If we create when if we create, then we are creators rather than creations. This implies that we are fragments or mirror images of God, portions of His consciousness that are trapped within the created universes. Divinity. If God created the human being in His own image and likeness, then that image would have no body in which to be enclosed, and that image might be able to create, because the matter and energy within the universes are not created by themselves. Furthermore, if we are part of God, then we have fallen from a divine state, since God would not begin in a trapped condition. This tells us that the problem must be due to an added block rather than a lack of inherent skill. In other words, deformities and disabilities are due to additives rather than things we are missing. Before all creations, there can only be nothingness. Therefore, God must be a nothingness, with there would be no context in which a personality could manifest. So let us leave aside any personification of God and refer instead to an infinite nothingness with the potential for infinite creation. Being and nothingness. Creation would take place to balance nothing with something. Then God would be all existence and all understanding. And from this, we could say that God is love, not only love of the good, but love of everything. And the only evil would be to deny our true nature as part of this infinite and creative nothingness. As shadows or fragments or children of God, each of us would also be a nothingness of infinite potential, striving to create and engaging in an exchange of creations. And our decline will basically consist of denials of our true nature, decisions not to create, not to experience, not to perceive, and not to communicate. No blockade would have been successful unless we had created it ourselves. Cowering before things and withdrawing from them leaves them free to operate against you. What is not confronted tends to persist. What is fully observed tends to come back under one's control and ceases to affect one adversely. It is better to face things rather than suppress or hide them. Sorry, we have been killing each other for too long, returning blow for blow in mutually destructive ways. We have taken turns, life after life, playing as good and bad guys. Both Jesus and Buddha saw this, and it is an important part of the path. If you need more encouragement, then please realize that forgiving others lightens the weight of your karma, because by forgiving them, you forgive yourself too. And we have all been around long enough to have tried every possible role and committed every dastardly or cowardly action at least a few times. The only way out is mutual forgiveness and abandonment of revenge and retaliation. At the top, responsibility means being the cause and being in control rather than blame. If you are responsible for something, that is part of your creation, and if you reject responsibility and pass the blame on to others, it is a denial of self and abandonment of control. In modern times, people fight to avoid responsibility, but in earlier times, we fought to become the one who was responsible for something, since with responsibility comes power. Breaking news. Trump just defeated Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, at, and the Republican Party nomination is practically over. Trump becomes the first non-incumbent Republican to win Iowa and New Hampshire. The Davos elite see Trump's return as a threat to world order. Trudeau's Orwellian attack on Canadian truckers declared unconstitutional. The Dutch Queen promotes global digital identification in Davos. Federal agency issues security alert for millions of iPhone and iPad users. Pizzagate investigator found dead of suicide. Janet Ossebaat was an award-winning Dutch journalist. Has the elite lost the mandate of heaven? Today's technocratic elite is in one sense the modern equivalent of a priestly class with special powers to conjure technological and managerial marvels that carry the implicit promise of delivering benefits to commoners. Economy. Tesla shares fall due to lack of profits in the fourth quarter. Banks are granting less credit as delinquencies increases. The big crash could break out in 2024, warned Harry Dent, who predicts a collapse in all assets except one. Bubbles are dangerous because the economy has been overestimated, and once assets start selling off, the downturn will occur quickly. As Chinese stocks plunge, Beijing proposes multi-billion-dollar market rescue package. The European Union is forcing farmers to tighten their belts, but is eager to funnel billions into Ukraine. Rail traffic paralyzed in Germany due to a 6-day strike by train drivers. NATO admits there is no direct threat from Russia, as UK Army chiefs tells citizens to prepare for a massive war. Ukraine shoots down a Russian plane carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war. Curious. The Doomsday Clock calls artificial intelligence an existential threat and a disruptive technology for humanity. A solar storm hits Earth, causing a radio outage and giving aurora lovers a real treat. A solar storm that hit Earth on Monday caused a radio outage in the Pacific Ocean. Solar storm alert. There is the possibility of geomagnetic storms occurring during the next 3 days, in response to multiple flares ejected by the sun, some of them directed at the Earth. Indirect strikes could alter our planet's magnetic field on January 24th, 25th, and 26th. Insanity warning by Anna von Wright. The presumption that humans and subhumans exist was created and promoted by the medieval Roman Church. There are only men and women in her opinion. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.